Main Street Newsroom. This is 2 News Live at 3:30.
Utah getting in the conversation about nuclear. What does this mean, and what list has Utah been on that may influence a decision here in the Beehive State? Brian Will with that report coming up in just a moment. Also, cell phones. It's been a topic of conversation in our schools. What is the new ban include? How does that impact students? We will take a deeper dive with your comments coming up. And a new trail park in southern Utah. What is it? Where is it? We will talk to the folks at Greater Zion Tourism all about this new idea and how it's coming to life in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining us. We are live downtown tonight here on 2 News Live. I should say this afternoon. Used to saying tonight at 5 o'clock. Here is a live look this afternoon. Millard County. This is the Widemouth 2 fire. It is number 2 because number 1 was last August. At least that's what we believe. Fire has been popular in this area over the years. This is just south of Kanash. A lot of people that are driving an I-15 have been able to see this, talk about it, put it up on social media. The fire over 500 acres and is getting a lot of attention from fire folks as we experience somewhat of a lull here in the Great Basin. And there's a lot of fire activity in the Pacific Northwest. But they've been very heavy on this one today, and it is putting up a large column of smoke, so no need to report it. They are already aware of it. That fire sparking last night around 5 o'clock. Thanks for joining us tonight here on 2 News Live. So let's talk to Brian Will, who is downtown. Brian is talking about nuclear. There's a lot of facets to this conversation. Where does Utah fit in the mix? How does Tooele County fall in line? Brian Will joining us live here on 2 News Live this afternoon. So Brian, where does all of this conversation come from? Where does Tooele fit into the mix in terms of Utah being on a short list for nuclear power plants?
Yeah, Brian, so essentially today what this means is we're one of 5 states that are looking at this, what they call a life cycle innovation campus, which really it boils down to meaning they'll do everything on site to make the nuclear fuel into energy to power electric grids and stuff like that. So it would be storage, it would be creating that fuel and stuff like that. So that's what they're talking about bringing to Tooele. They're not exactly sure where. This is more so now they are approved to be able to do environmental studies, permits to look into what areas, but they're saying this could create, if it comes to fruition, it could create up to 25,000 jobs with the facility itself and support that it would have, and it could have a big impact. Today I talked to the State Energy Development Coordinator, and she said that this could be equal to the size of Hill Air Force Base in terms of impact here in the Beehive State. So the announcement was today, so we're one of 5 states they're looking at here, but that doesn't mean it's settled and it's final. There's still a lot of work that has to be done, and this is still years before it could be a possibility. Brian?
Now, Brian, why was Utah on the list in the first place? What was the selling point to bring this here, specifically to Tooele County?
Yeah, Brian. So as you know, being in the news here, you see that the state and the governor in particular really likes to push that nuclear energy. That's kind of his push on policy. And so it kind of aligned with that. And the state had to submit for it, basically, and the deadline was April 1st. So then after that April 1st deadline, the federal government selected these top 5 states, and now they'll look into further developing this. And that's kind of how it came about, at least for Utah's perspective on this.
So, Brian, what's the timeline look like for all of this? We're obviously in the early phases, but what happens next?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that'll be the next 6 months. We'll see something on this. This is going to be years in the making, so they've got to do the permitting, the studying, and the environmental studies, and then also they have to get licensing from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to kind of figure out that as well. So this is something that they don't have a timeline yet on, but it's something it'll take years for developing, and that we'll have to hear back from the Department of Energy on who they select and what area they choose. But Utah is definitely high up there in the running with all of its past that it's really pushing for nuclear energy.
Doesn't happen overnight. Brian Will with the latest here on the nuclear conversation in Utah, evolving, just like our forecast, just like what's happening here day by day, especially along the Wasatch Front. Yeah. Brian was actually right here in downtown. I can actually look out the window and see the winds picking up, and obviously some moisture here in the heart of Utah here in Salt Lake.
We got a little bit of rain here in downtown Salt Lake City. Yeah. Not a lot, but it did drop the temperature by about 10 to 15 degrees, so that is some really good news. Right now I am tracking a few showers and thunderstorms. The heaviest rain has now ended for portions of Salt Lake and Utah County, but these storms are pushing pushing towards the northeast, so more rain for the Wasatch back. I know I had some pretty heavy rainfall at my house in Park City earlier today. If you're not expecting a whole lot for the northern end of the Wasatch Front, our friends in Ogden, Davis County, Weber County really want some rain. There's a little shower that we're tracking over the Great Salt Lake that might be getting a little bit closer. On your screen right there is some of those mountain showers. So it's pretty green up in the mountains where we've had these daily showers and thunderstorms. Right now, no active flash flooding, but there are some storms down in Arizona, Brian, that might be pushing into southern and central Utah later tonight that could produce some heavy rainfall in that area. We're worried about those burn scars.
So that's part of your next weather maker here as the early part of the pattern here. I see.
That's right.
The shift, at least for the Wasatch Front.
Yeah, for tomorrow we have more moisture moving in. I think there's a chance for a few showers in the morning, maybe some pop-up thunderstorms in the afternoon, but our rain chances for tomorrow, roughly about 30%. Of course, they're going to be higher over the mountains. But our next weather maker will be this ridge of high pressure. You'll see that our rain chances are going away by the end of the week and into the weekend. What does that mean for the heat, Brian? I got some really bad news. We'll talk about that.
That's a deep tease.
At 4 o'clock.
Yeah, deep tease to 4 o'clock. Chase, thank you.
Thanks.
We were just seeing that live camera in southern Utah, and obviously things look pretty nice there, but we're waiting to see how that moisture looks as it pushes its way north. Staying in southern Utah, a new trail park coming to the general Greater Zion tourism area. They oversee a lot of facets of what is going on with recreation in southern Utah. Leslie Fonger, kind enough to join us here on the show this afternoon from Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office. Now, trail park, to me, that is an interesting term because I feel like it's multifaceted here. Leslie, what is this design all about? What does it mean for the community?
We're really excited about this, and the inspiration from this first came from wanting to work with our Utah High School Cycling Association, which is our high school mountain bike teams, to help them develop a home for their state championship. But this park will be able to handle so much more. So it's a trail park. We'll have a fancier name upcoming, but encompasses a trail course designed for racing with the additional parking, staging areas, finish and start areas, and all of that designed in so it all works together right from the get-go. And that's really unique to be designed from the ground up to do this.
Why was this location chosen, Leslie?
That's a great story. We've been hunting all over Washington County for several years now for a good place to do this. And we had a great partner come forward in Desert Color to say, you know what, we have a suggestion. Come look at this spot that we have a development agreement with on our state trust lands down here. So we have two great partners there. And the more we looked into this location and how everything could work together and how it would benefit the residents of the Washington County area as well as Desert Color, it really was a great spot. And so we started working on it in depth.
Again, what is the timeline looking like here, and what can people expect once things open up in the short while?
So the timeline is that we are in the midst of getting this construction going. There is some dirt moving. It will be complete sometime this fall, and will be open to the public as long as it's not being used for an event.
Last thing here, Leslie, how are tourism dollars helping fund this project, and what do you hope to see in return as a place here, a new place for people to enjoy in Washington County?
So tourism dollars are the primary funder of this project. So those are the tax revenues generated from visitors that are staying in hotels and similar overnight accommodations. So investing those back into this trail park that is designed from the ground up to handle events and thus bring in visitors, but also be accessible, usable, and enjoyable for our residents. We consider that a good investment of those visitor generator dollars to help keep dollars like that being reinvested and to benefit our residents. So good deal all around.
Leslie Fonger with the Greater Zion Convention and Tourism Office. Thanks for joining us here to discuss this new design and watching everything come to life here. Thanks for joining us again here on 2 News Live at 3:30. Let's continue the conversation by heading over to our content center, see what Jonathan is up to over here. Fire. It's not just wildfire, but the unfortunate whenever it involves somebody's home, somebody's property. We were seeing this as we were tracking what was going on late yesterday.
Yeah, we kind of have more information today from firefighters. You can also see video we wanted to share online as well. But yeah, family displaced, a family of 4 displaced from these fires. You can see the home fully engulfed in flames here. Now, 2 other homes in the area were also evacuated, but there were no damages here. But the homeowners do tell us that they believe their 2 cats were missing. They do believe, unfortunately, that they were in the fire and did not make it out. So yeah, we're monitoring that and tracking that as well.
You know, something this morning that I was looking at as we were having a conversation in our conference room, I said, there's a bear in Ephraim. There's a bear in Ephraim. And everyone was posting pictures and videos about this bear and officers running after the bear. What have you shared on the socials here for everyone to see?
Well, I wanted to share exactly what you were talking about.
Right here.
This is the officer. You can see the bear kind of checking him out, then hopping the fence, and the officer's like, hey, what's going on here? And then the officer just takes off running towards the bear. This is in Ephraim. You can just see, yeah, look at that sprint. It's over in Ephraim. We had Ephraim police, they said they worked with a state biologist. You can see another look here of the bear running to tranquilize this bear and relocate it to a safer place.
We also heard from WildFire, DWR, about just some of the things to do in this situation. Luckily, black bears are not exactly coming at you as opposed to other bear species, which we don't really have a lot of here in Utah. This is more common. What do they recommend?
Well, they recommend staying calm first and foremost. If you see a black bear, kind of stay calm, stand your ground, and do not run away or climb a tree. I guess they can climb like Spider-Man, these bears. They can go fast. And the best thing to do is just stay calm, stand your ground, and if a bear does come at you, you can fight back. They actually do encourage you to fight back, stand your ground, and fight off a bear if that's what happens.
Again, you can find more information about, and on all these videos as well, on our YouTube page, also on our website. Some more information about that Layton house fire, also on our website, KUTV.com. You can also find a lot of these things on our YouTube page, as I mentioned. Jonathan, thank you. Coming up here, what is this all about when you're at school? I didn't even have one of these when I was in school, but now it is the hottest conversation as we head into the new school year about cell phones banned and what it means for your students in public schools here in Utah. We'll talk about it next. Welcome back here on 2 News Live. We are live downtown talking about what you are talking about on social media. We'll get to the cell phone conversation as we head back into school here in just a few weeks in just a moment. For now, taking a quick live look in Millard County. Boy, that is a massive plume of smoke here. And everyone's been taking pictures as they drive by this, putting it up on social media. This is the Widemouth 2 fire. They know about it. You don't have to report it. They are well aware of this one that started last night around 5 o'clock. But this is, again, just south of Kanash there in Millard County. And they got a whole lot of firefighting resources on this new fire start. So let's go to what you are talking about. As 2 News listens to you, there's a conversation being had on social media, specifically on a Reddit thread about Utah's new cell phone ban or cell phone policy and what that looks like for different districts. This went into effect technically July 1st. However, it is not really the school year yet for a lot of students, and they will experience this as they head into the classrooms coming up here in just a few weeks. Dr. Rich Stoll from the Alpine School District, kind enough to join us here on 2 News Live, talk about the cell phone thing. So, Rich, does your district differ from how the policy is already laid out? Do you have any specifications? What is this going to look like when schools open their doors for students again here very soon?
Yeah, very soon. Thanks for having me, Brian. Our policy is very much in line with what the state has asked to do. The state legislature, as you have mentioned, enacted new legislation that went into effect this year that restricted additionally what we were seeing in schools with students being able to have access to phones and other electronic devices during school. So last year was actually a great year for us. We enacted some restrictions based on legislative guidance, and most of our classrooms were cell phone free most of the time. And this year, it's just a step further. We are restricting cell phones from bell to bell, as they say, across all our schools. So we don't anticipate a lot of pushback on that. The students are used to it. The teachers certainly love it. Parents are getting used to it. And the challenge for us at this point is just to continue to educate parents on the benefits of these cell phone restrictions. And there are many benefits. We're seeing student learning increases, student connection. We're getting good reports from students, teachers, and parents that these restrictions are a good thing.
So have you heard anything over the last year? You mentioned already taking these steps, and now it's the bell to bell. Keep in mind here, I'm just going to date myself, didn't have a cell phone in school, so that wasn't a thing. But were you hearing from teachers about this being an issue at all previously as this has evolved with technology and students basically having a phone and a device, if not multiple?
Yes, and there are people, parents, students, and teachers on both sides of this, but certainly we had heard from many educators that cell phones in classrooms were becoming a problem. For a while, I think for many of us in the classrooms, it felt like, one person maybe trying to hold back a river, and it was just not even worth trying to restrict them in any ways. And so we just sort of managed and coped with this problem that I think everybody saw. I mean, even in our homes, right? I'm a parent to teenagers. Sometimes as parents, we see the ubiquitous use of cell phones and the reliance on them and screen time just going up and up and up. And we feel like there's nothing we can do. So when the legislature implemented these restrictions last year and then increased them this year, I think it made educators feel heard and felt like what they were doing in the classroom was important, because our educators, they go through training and they put in so much work to prepare these lessons, and to now have students have a little more focus in class, or even a lot more focus in class, is really a good thing. It shows that schools matter still, that we take seriously what goes on in our classroom, within the walls of our classrooms, and it helps us create those positive relationships with students so that they can learn and thrive.
I've always said if you want to see just how bad it's gotten, you should just go watch Toy Story 5 and see the messaging about how everybody is just literally on their phone. Dr. Rich Stoll from the Alpine School District, kind enough to join us here on 2 News Live. Thank you, Doc. We appreciate you, and I hope everything goes well here as you open the doors for students in just a matter of days at this point. We are counting down.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We
Thanks
are
for getting the word
hearing from you
out
on this. Absolutely. Thank you. And if you go to our website right now, you can also weigh in on the poll question. It is very easy to see. You can grab your phone, scan that QR code. If we can pop it up there for you, we may have moved on, but I'm going to tell you what the poll question is just quickly. When should students be allowed to use phones at school? Here is the question. We've already got a couple hundred votes on this thing, but never during school hours, only at lunch and breaks, anytime teachers allow, and then between classes. So those are your options in theory for you of what you can participate in for a conversation that a lot of you are having on social media before the school year begins. All right, let's move on to bike safety here. This is something we're also seeing on Reddit. Utahns are debating on a thread here about whether riding a bike on the sidewalk is legal or safer than the road. A live look near Liberty Park here, where we do see a lot of cyclists and we do see a lot of pedestrian traffic here with the park just in the distance. But this is a conversation as more people grow confused about e-bikes and scooters. You should know the law if you're going to hop on one of these. Basically, you need to be with traffic. We know this, but we've looked into it. So under Utah law, bikes are allowed on sidewalks unless a local ordinance restricts this. Now, and the same goes for e-bikes. However, sidewalks may feel a little bit safer than those busy roads. Conflicts do happen when you reach the driveway, that sort of thing. So we did take a look into this for you, and you can always find that law easily accessible by just hitting the Google machine. Also here in response to our very own Chase Thomason on social media, asking about the urban growth and contributing to our record heat. We asked the urban heat island effect that we've talked about. We wanted to look into this a little bit more. It can make cities hotter as far as roads, buildings, and concretes, just kind of trapping that heat. I mean, we are in a valley area, so right, you've got this bowl. We already see it with the inversion. Same can be said for some of the heat. Chase has talked about it here on 2 News Live at 3:30, specifically talking about those record high temperatures. So there is a reason as to why it comes, like anything else, a lot of growth and a lot of things that create that heat specifically in the valley as we take a live look from southern Utah this afternoon. As always, we are listening to you here on 2 News Live. We are seeing what you're saying, or if you're using your thumbs for it on social media, trying to get a little context for you and talk about it, which is why we had Dr. Rich Stoll from the Alpine School District on and talk about that phone ban, something a lot of you are talking about. We'll be right back with more 2 News Live.
This is 2 News Live at 3:30.
3:54 here on 2 News Live. This is a live look from Millard County this afternoon. I've been keeping a close eye on this since things really ballooned on the Widemouth 2 fire this afternoon, but this was a very active fire overnight. Some wind, some erratic fire behavior. This is an area that catches almost yearly. There's not a whole lot here with the exception of maybe some power infrastructure, but obviously it is just south of Kanash, so there is community impact there. And of course, I-15, you see it here on your screen. So anyone driving north or south along Utah's major roadway will see exactly what this is. This is a massive wildfire that's over 500 acres. You can see in the distance here some of the aircraft working it. They've taken some of the resources from the Cottonwood fire and actually shifted them to this location so they can work on this fire here because our newest wildfire that has taken shape here in the state of Utah.